Howdy, welcome to Junk Monkey Live. It's a place where resellers and treasure hunters and thrifters get together to shoot the breeze, talk shop, hang out, and just, have a little fun, get away from the hum and drum of the daily grind that is what we do, and, just hang out with one another. Uh, Glenn, the swamp picker, was here at 1:10 this afternoon. Let me know he's going to try to be here tonight. I see Tina is here already, and yeah, tonight is our new time slot. Uh, we've been doing it on Wednesday nights for the last several months, but there was a vacuum, so to speak, for Monday nights. It used to be the Joey Bada Bing 22 had his live shows on Monday nights, but he had some changes in his life. His partner for the live show decided he needed to concentrate on something else in his life, his business. And then Joey went on some trips and a few other things, and he just hasn't got back into it. And there's a vacuum, so I figured I would step in and try to fill that vacuum for the time being, at the very least. So Monday nights is when we're going to get together on Junk Monkey live shows. So yeah, that's what we're doing this week. Um, and Mondays works out better for me anyway. Mondays traditionally, I don't go into my watch repair shop, so I have Mondays off more or less, and thus traditionally my busiest sourcing day. Mainly going to the bins. Sometimes I go more than once a week, but normally once a week, and it's at the bins. But here lately, I've been able to come up with enough materials to list that I haven't really needed to go to the bins. In fact, last week's bins stuff is, for the most part, I've only listed a couple of those items. I've still got a lot of other stuff left over from last week's trip that I don't have to list or go to the bins again. I don't like stocking up too much ahead. I don't like building up a big death pile. And my neighbor is going to come by with his lawnmower. And I'm going to take these off. Sorry about that. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but instead of a big propane heater roaring in the background, now we're going to have a big swamp cooler roaring in the background and my neighbor's lawnmower. But yeah, Mondays is traditionally my longest day of sourcing. I start out at the bins. I'll spend a few hours there, and then I just hit all the thrift stores in the valley, and I'm normally done. Even on a hard day, I'm done by 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening. So Monday nights is going to be where we do this now. And on the days that I do go sourcing on Mondays, we'll make the live show also a haul show, a live haul show to show you some of the things I picked up that day. Today I did go out to one little spot, and what did I pick up? I picked up two pairs of boots. No, two pairs of shoes, one pair of shoes, one pair of boots, and a really nice piece of art glass. The art glass is soaking in a secret concoction that I clean glass in. It's just hot water, dish soap, and ammonia. What else do I have? Yeah, keeping this space comfortable is well, it's not insulated. So in the wintertime, it gets really cold out here, and in the summertime, it turns into an oven. Ed, how are you, my friend? Ed, didn't you and Pittsburgh Picker and Dark County Picker, you guys had a Monday night show at one time, didn't you? And speaking of keeping comfortable, Junk Monkey is wearing a pair of shorts. I'll try not to stand up because I'm afraid these neon white legs would probably break the camera in my laptop and blind you guys. So yeah, there used to be a lot of content, live content on Monday nights, and here lately there just hasn't been any. And again, it's better for me, and hopefully I can step in and fill some pretty big shoes for all the guys that used to do Monday night shows. Let's see what else. Now I know I had something else. Two pairs. Oh, a golf club. Speaking of golf clubs, I am trying to get out of the golf club game. I just found one today I couldn't pass up. Uh, as you guys know, a lot of shipping charges are fluctuating up and down. And ground shipping for golf clubs you're rarely ever going to have a golf club ship out in a box that is shorter than 3 foot long, 36 inches. The vast majority of them are going to be 38 to 48, somewhere in that length range. And golf clubs, I shipped out 2 this morning, and where they used to cost me $11 and change to ship out, $11.85 thereabouts, sometimes a little over 12. So I charge $12.99. My golf club boxes, my 4x4x48s, they cost me about $2. So $12.99. Every once in a while I break even. Every once in a while I lose a few cents. Every once in a while I make a few cents. But now with the new price changes, the ground shipping on golf clubs is going to go up to $14, $15. And with the surcharge that USPS Priority started charging last fall, golf club sales have tanked for run-of-the-mill golf clubs. You can't go out and pick up, hell, you can't even pick up Callaway clubs anymore and make a living on them. They won't bring $15 plus $12 shipping anymore. Hey, Kent, how are you? So golf clubs are, if I find a really nice ping copper beryllium putter, or a Texas Brothers persimmon wood driver, maybe I'll pick that kind of stuff up. Or some of the newer clubs, I'll still pick those up. But the $15 to $25 golf club game is pretty much over for us on the West Coast at the very least. Now, if you're on the East Coast, the majority of East Coast golf club online buyers, and you're an online seller, you're a lot closer to your clients. So the shipping is not as bad for you guys over there. So the $15 to $25 golf clubs are probably still good for you, but me in the Pacific Northwest, not so much. Got Nike clubs, Scotty Cameron, stuff like that I will still pick up. But, like the Wilson Pro Staffs, I'm not going to pick those up anymore. The Callaway oversized copper colored clubs, just the run-of-the-mill, good, solid bread and butter golf clubs. Well, they're not bread and butter anymore. Excuse me. You guys know last week I had a real bad problem with my allergies and my sinuses, and today is the first day since then that I have felt somewhat better. My sinuses don't hurt as bad, but I do still have a little bit of a headache. Yeah, just the top tier golf clubs, if and when I run across them, which here lately has not been very often. I probably haven't found a dozen of those types of clubs since last fall. Generally, once the cold weather starts and golf people tend to get away from going to golf, I start stockpiling them. And then in the spring, I will pick a day and I'll just list golf clubs all day, every day until I'm done with golf clubs. And then again, in early fall, when the summer temperatures start to die down, I'll list some more. And I've always done really good with that over the last 3 years. This spring, not so much. Yeah, watches are good if you get the good ones. I had a bad situation with eBay on a Rolex watch last week and took nearly a $3,000 hit. But even with that $3,000 hit, my sales have been great. I am 130% up from the previous 31 days. So, yeah, Tina, here lately, finding a decent golf club at my local thrifts, it has not been easy. One of the things is especially Goodwills, they sell a lot of stuff online, and they're getting better at weeding out the really good resale items. It's getting harder to source stuff. I used to easily come out of a Goodwill with a shopping cart full of good bread and butter, meat and potatoes items and have plenty to list. That kind of stuff is getting a little more scarce. And it's not that it's getting more scarce, it's that Goodwill is hanging on to it. So it might be a good idea to visit shopgoodwill.com and start sourcing direct from there. Of course, they overprice on there sometimes too, but occasionally you can get a good deal. Harley Davidson jacket had for over a year, paid 45, happy to sell it at 120. And look, yeah, I'm doing the same sort of thing with golf clubs. Golf clubs that I used to sell for 25 to $30, I'm taking $12 and $15 on them now just to get them out of here. They're not the easiest space efficient thing to store in your inventory. Yeah, yeah, and quite honestly, I'm guilty of doing that. It's when I catch them out on the floor and I'm familiar with who the person is. I'll, if I run across something while they're standing there, I'll show them, and I've more or less been teaching them myself. So, but I still do really well with things that are not all over YouTube. Every reseller says pick this up, so they learn about those items pretty quick. But there, you guys follow me on Instagram. You see some of my bigger sales and like Rolex stuff, old parts, watch parts. But there's a lot of things I don't put on there, and specifically because I don't want the prices in my markets to go up on them to where I can't afford to buy them anymore. And yeah, they all miss something. I mean, face it, if they were, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. That's a different thing. But they can't catch it all. They normally like the biggest Goodwill in my area. They have 4 people who control the prices on everything that goes out on the floor. And I don't know how many at the other 2, but those people, they change out. They rarely keep the same people for too terribly long. So every once in a while when you see prices change, it's either something happened at corporate and then somebody got an email, or they got somebody new in the back pricing stuff out. You just got to be diligent. You got to keep going. Stuff turns up. And it's the stuff that, like I said, that's not run-of-the-mill reseller items that I really enjoy finding. Now, don't get me wrong. I still check the shoes. I'm still going to check the golf clubs. I'm still going to check the coffee mugs because every once in a while they slip up and let a really good one go through for 79 cents. But, the ones that are priced at $7.99, $8.99, I have to leave those because they're expensive to ship. Your average coffee mug that will actually sell, it's going to ship at the 2-pound rate. So, it's $11 or $12 to do that. And by the time you charge $10 or $12, $15 for a coffee mug, and then add another $10 or $12, $13 to ship it, a lot of people out there aren't going to pay $25, $30 for a mug. Not a run-of-the-mill one anyway. Hey, there's Glenn. Saw you stop in at 1:10 this afternoon, my time. I don't know what time that was for you. But, yeah, hadn't really been talking about a whole lot except for, Goodwill and their pricing and the kind of things we pick up. I will tell you this. We were talking about shipping charges are fluctuating. And due to that, this past week, I shipped out a VCR. I ship out probably 5 or 6 of them a week on a good week. But I normally ship those out UPS ground. And I normally charge $18.99 flat rate to ship them pretty much anywhere in the country. But now it's normally somewhere in the $16 to $18 for me to ship one. If one is somewhere weird, I've occasionally paid as much as $25 to ship one. Well, this one was going to someplace weird. It wasn't really big and it was a little bit lighter. So I checked USPS prices on it, and they were considerably cheaper, about $7 cheaper. And to be honest and be fair, USPS has been doing a good job for me over the past year. They haven't lost anything, and they haven't destroyed anything. So I decided I'd give them a try. Yeah, I did, and I shouldn't have. They destroyed that VCR that I sent out, and I had to send a full refund, including shipping, to the buyer, which doesn't help him or me, really. He's got a busted VCR and he's got his money back, but I don't have my item. So, yeah, I just have to go from $18.99 shipping to $19.99 shipping because that's kind of the average in the middle. and just keep continuing to ship them UPS ground instead of USPS priority ground, or whatever their ground service is called. Hey, Christopher, how are you, buddy? But yeah, so if you've got a VCR or something that can't handle just being really manhandled, no matter how well you package it, don't ship it USPS. Go ahead and send it UPS ground. Yeah, they crushed a VCR. It was a plastic cased one, and they literally crushed it. So there went. By the time I gave the full refund, I was out close to $55. So thank goodness it wasn't one of the $175 combo units with the DVD recorder on it, because that would have stung. So really and truly, I'm out the cost of my box, the cost of the shipping, and probably $9 for the VCR. But still, I don't like being out any money. That's why every chance you get to increase your wealth, you should, because there's going to be times when your wealth is going to decrease because of things like an item getting destroyed in shipping. So yeah, VCRs, combo units, stereo equipment, things like that, pack it up real nice and send it UPS ground. Yeah, I gave up on hats last year. At one point, I probably had 50 or 60 hats. And for about a year, I may have sold 3 hats in a year. So I actually boxed them all up and worked a trade with somebody for a bunch of VHS tapes. Probably wasn't worth the shipping in either direction for either one of us. But the guy I did the trade with, he likes hats, and I really like VHS tapes. So yeah, they have. When I first started, you could still find vintage hats, and they were probably at the height of their popularity. And it was nothing to sell a hat for $20 or $30, and it went out first class. So $5 shipping, $4.99 back then, and it was easy to make money on hats. They're not that hard to clean. I've got the steamer. I've got had different things that I could put them on to steam them and dry them to reshape them. And quite honestly, these days, I don't find them that often anymore. And the ones that I do find aren't worth the effort to clean them and get them ready to list. My family swipes stuff all the time. The best pair of Hokas, second best pair of Hokas I ever found, just happened to fit my wife. Daughter's wearing Hokas too that I found. And I imagine there's quite a few things in our kitchen that came from me thrifting. Some of this stuff I have to hide because I know I won't get it back. Yes, I did get the watch back. I took it back to my shop. I repolished it, cleaned the dial really well to get rid of it. There was one little sparkle, and when I got it under my microscope, which I might show you guys later, there was one little shard of glass left on it in one of the fields that I missed when I cleaned it the first time. When I bought that watch, it had a crushed crystal on it. So there were glass shards in it, and I thought I had done a good job of getting all of them, but apparently I'd left one. Anyway, I've already repolished it, recleaned it, reserviced it, took new pictures, got it relisted on eBay, and this time I checked that little box, which, by the way, if any of you guys were not here for last week's show or for the last episode, those item specifics, I don't know how much they do for you to help you sell your item, but they do a lot for you to cover your butt. If there's even one of those item specifics that are not required, they're just what's the term? Anyway, they got 2 different sets of item specifics. The ones that they require you to fill out, and then there's the additional ones you don't have to fill out if you don't want to, according to every YouTuber you will ever listen to or watch here on eBay. I didn't check the box that says customized because the Rolex that I sold had a custom diamond dial on it. It's a genuine Rolex dial, but somebody added diamonds to it. They did a damn good job and used really good diamonds. And I put that in my actual physical description, but I didn't check the box in the item specifics. So eBay contacted my buyer, talked them out of buying it, shipped the watch back to me, and I took nearly a $3,000 hit. So those damn item specifics on high at the very least on your extremely high end items that you sell, check every single one. Make sure there's something in every single one of them. Yeah, well, I've sent other watches with custom pieces on them before, custom dials, custom crystals, or aftermarket crystals, aftermarket bezels. Never said a word to me. I've always listed those things in the description. I just never checked that customized box. Really and truly, what it was this time around was there was an auditor who did not, or an authenticator who did not read the description on the listing. He saw a diamond bezel that was not factory original, and he immediately shut the whole thing down. And he should not have. If he had just read my description, that customer would have that watch right now. They'd be happy with it because it's a damn good looking watch, well running, in great condition. But instead, they butted in where they shouldn't have. That watch was not fake. It is a genuine Rolex watch, all genuine parts with the exception of the diamond markers on the dial, and that was disclosed in the description. And it's a great, I've been selling watches on eBay for 25 years now, probably going on 26. And I've never had this problem before, ever. These item specifics that they didn't used to have item specifics. You picked a category and you described the watch and its condition all in one block, and you were good to go. But those item specifics, they're more important than most of us have believed. So anyway, my neighbor has got a yard that's about the size of a postage stamp, and I'm guessing they decided they're going to mow it a second time for the day. Oh boy. Well, at least the Navy guys aren't flying doing touch and goes because I live right next to or just right up the road from the airport, right in the landing pattern. Yeah, you know, last year I probably sold 6 or 7 Rolexes, and at least 2 or 3 of them had aftermarket parts on them. And again, I always disclose that, and they all went to authentication, no problems, shipped them right on through. So I guess they're tightening that down. If you've got a watch that isn't 100%, and even on this watch, they didn't catch everything. I think what they're doing is they're training non-watch people what to look for, and as soon as they see it, they jump all over it, uh, despite what you may or may not put in the description. But yeah, that's because I called eBay, and eBay sided with me immediately, removed the hold on my funds, and then called the authentication center, who found the loophole that I didn't check that one little box in the item specifics, which was not required. And they immediately reinstated the hold on my money. And when 2 hours later, they took it right out of my bank account. Anyway, I also listed that watch on Poshmark, and it is getting a lot of interest. And of course, a lot of those are the scammers that want you to, if you're not selling on Poshmark, when you get on there, first luxury item you list, you're going to have people asking you, hey, I'm really interested in this for my husband. Can you text him some pictures? And they give you a phone number. Don't do it. And just like eBay, you keep any and all communication right there on the platform. Let's see, how many people do we have in here tonight? Right now, we got 8 watching, and I'm probably one of those 8. Once again, this week, I didn't put a Instagram reel together to announce the move to Monday night. I did have somebody reach out to me today. They wanted me to join their Whatnot Live and either be a moderator or at least help with the watches they're selling on Whatnot tonight. Let's see if I can pull that up. See who that was. So much crap on this phone open already. Instagram, who was it? Cindy Collins Designs on Whatnot. And she didn't know that I was making the move till tonight. I don't know how I get all these messages built up and don't hear them come in. Nah, I'll help anybody out, but her time slot interfered with this time slot, and she's like, "Well, I thought you did your lives on Wednesday night." I'm like, "Yeah, well, I made the announcement last week that I was moving to Monday nights." I said maybe in the future. I don't. I used to have a Whatnot account, but I had a bad experience on Whatnot. I deleted it from my phone, deleted it out of my computer, and I haven't been back. So they did contact me on Instagram a couple of weeks back, wanting to know if I was interested in being a seller in the estate section of theirs. And quite honestly, I think to be a successful seller on Whatnot, you have to have a large inventory of a certain type. And the only thing I have large inventories of is watch parts. And I don't see that being a good Whatnot type item to sell. Yeah, like I said, it's been months since I've been on there, and the few watch shows that I joined and watched and looked at, they weren't getting any traction on good watches. But the QVC style, like the Invictas and the G Shocks and the things like that, fashion watches, they seem to be doing okay with it. I mean, they weren't setting the world on fire, but those watches I have no interest in. Pretty much, if it has a battery in it, I'm not interested in messing with it. Yeah, low end stuff. Now, I specialize in antique, vintage, and luxury watches, and that'll be the antiques and vintages. The antiques I want to be American made watches, the railroad watches and wrist watches from the late 19th century through the mid 20th century. The vintage stuff, I want that to be things like Swiss made watches, Omegas and field watches and things of that nature. And the luxury watches, again, they have to be bigger names and high quality and high dollar. The low end fashion stuff, I don't mess with it. Even the big names in the fashion world, if they're more known for their clothing fashion and they put their name on a watch, those watches are usually cheap pieces of junk. And I'll call out Gucci and Fendi, top of that list. If you find a vintage Gucci watch or a Fendi watch, they are cheap pieces of junk. And more likely than not, if you sell it to one of your customers, there's a very good chance they're not going to be happy with their purchase, and that may cost you a return or a negative feedback. So really and truly, they're not worth messing with. Accutrons, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with Accutrons. If they're nice, clean, good condition Accutrons and I drop a battery in them and they run, fine. Other than that, I'll sell them for parts. Yeah, Hermes and Louis Vuitton, Ralph Lauren, none of those people make good watches. They put their name, they have some other company mass produce watches for them and just put their name on it. I at one time before, when I first got started, back in the late 90s, I was a pocket watch guy only. That's all I wanted to mess with. I hadn't yet gone to my apprenticeship for Rolex. And I got my hands on a small estate of items, including a new old stock box of Space View conversion kits from Bulova. It had the rings and the crystals in there. You could, any of their Accutron watches, you could convert them to a Space View. And I traded that box of Space View crystal conversion kits to a guy. He was supposed to bring me a railroad grade Elgin. He ended up bringing me a 15 jewel Elgin that had blue numbers on the dials, and we called it good. I later found out that he sold that box of crystals for $600. That was 25 years ago. That same box today is unobtainium. Best way to clean glass. Glenn, that should have a plastic crystal on it. And quite honestly, you need to find a jeweler that has a watchmaker on staff that knows how to polish a crystal, because they make special buffing rouge compounds for polishing crystals. Other than that, your best bet is a damp cloth with a little bit of Windex or something on it. Wipe it down and dry it immediately, and then leave it to your buyer to restore the crystal. And if it's actual glass, not plastic or acrylic, same deal. A little bit of Windex on a damp cloth, wipe it down, and then wipe it dry. Other than that, don't do anything else. It's easier to cause damage than it is to make it better. You can make it worse a lot easier than you believe. Don't go digging around in the backs of watches. I know a lot of people think it's easy to change the battery in a watch, and it is. It's very easy to change the battery in a watch. But it's also just as easy to destroy the watch just by touching the wrong part of it. Size swipes. Kent, I don't know that I'm familiar with those. Quite honestly, I use these microfiber cloths. I get them from Harbor Freight. And once they get dirty, you can clean them, but they're so cheap. For working on watches, I don't bother cleaning them. I bring them here to the shop and use them for grease rags and general purpose cleaning rags. But I keep brand new microfiber anti-lint cloths. Leaves no residue. Cool. I'll have to check them out. But I've been using these things for 20 years now, I guess. And this will take fingerprints off. It'll grab most lint, whatever lint it leaves behind. You can take a little blower, a little puff of air, and blow the dust out. Never, ever blow dust off of electronics or watch parts with your mouth. Don't do it. I don't know that I have one handy, but I'll see. If you blow on electronics or watch parts with your mouth, blow a little piece of dust off, no harm. Well, you're leaving moisture behind. You need one of these. It's just a little rubber ball thing for puffing air. But yeah, don't. That's not a good thing. A single drop of moisture on the circuit board of a quartz watch will destroy it. Maybe not immediately, but it can start a corrosion event that cannot be stopped, or won't stop until after it's already damaged something beyond repair. Yeah, don't use the canned air in a watch. That's too high a pressure. But really and truly, you're opening up a can of worms when you open up the back of a watch. If it's a high dollar watch, if it's a Tag Heuer or a quartz model of one of the Seamasters, like from Omega or something, or if it's a G-Shock, something that will bring considerably more money running the knot, go ahead and take it to your jeweler, pay the $10, $15, $20 and get the battery put in it. If that's going to put it beyond profitable for you, don't buy it in the first place. They can have moisture in them, yeah. Now, if you go to the computer stores and get the canned air that's specifically for electronics, those are supposed to be dry air. I don't know. I actually use my air compressor. I have a huge DeWalt air compressor back there that I've got a moisture trap on it, and I can dial in the pressure. Hey, Variety Flippers in the house tonight. Appreciate you coming by, buddy. And it took me 5 minutes to realize you were here. Well, 1 minute, but still. Yeah, it's the same principle, Lynn. But yeah, if you got anything delicate, especially electronics and watches, and there's a bit of dust or something, you need to get you one of these. Trying to think of what other cleaning hacks I have. Everybody knows about the magic erasers. And hopefully, you all know that you can go on Amazon and buy a great big package of the no name magic erasers, the cellulose sponges, I think they're called. Those things work great. Biggest secret to those things is not to push and grind on them. Light touch, they work better that way, and they work better wet, especially in under running water or underwater or lots of water. Oh, I do have something for you. If I can find it. Nope, I can't find it. I use these little mini brushes, and you can get those on Amazon too. I buy them in a 3-pack. There's a brass or copper bristle brush. There's a clear or white bristle brush and a blue bristle brush. They're about the size of a toothbrush, and they've got a toothbrush-sized brush on one end and a narrow brush on the other end. They're for gun cleaning. Best cleaning brushes, hands down. Small brushes. I'll go grab a couple. Yeah. Oh, well, I can't find but the one. But they kind of look like this. And these little brushes have been around for decades. And if somebody will remind me during the week, I'll get on my Amazon account and get you guys a link for them or something. It won't be an affiliate link. I'm not monetized or anything and don't know how to turn on the affiliate stuff. Something I'm interested in, just not right this minute. And I know I have some other 3-packs of these that I haven't even opened yet. I just hid them from myself. They last forever. Well, not forever, but they last a really long time, much longer than your standard toothbrush. Yeah, Tina, I love them quick flips. I had one last week. What was it? I think it was another VCR. It was a Sony VCR combo unit. I bought it one day. I think I bought it on Friday. I tested it and cleaned it Friday night, and then Saturday morning I listed it, and within an hour, gone. Huh. Awesome. Yeah. I believe it was, Kent. You must have seen that on my Instagram. It's a 370 or a 380. Which one was it? I don't even have Instagram open at the moment. Huh. I swore I made a post about that. Oh, yeah, there it is. It was a 370. Go repeat buyer. I've got another Sony, just a VHS player he's interested in too. I'm. I don't know that I have a death pile. I've just been a little lax on getting everything listed lately, but it should be all listed this week. Something fell. Huh. Hey, Sarah, how are you? You guys may not know this, but Sarah and I had a little business deal going on over the last couple of weeks. I Sarah runs the Daily Cabbage on Instagram, and her and her husband have the Pittsburgh Picker Show on I'm gonna say Sunday nights and Thursday nights. Great show. I try not to ever miss it. But Sarah is my Cabbage Patch doll expert. Anytime I run across one out there in the wild, I take pictures of it, shoot them over to her on an Instagram message, and she normally gets back to me pretty quick. And a couple of weeks ago, I stumbled onto a pretty good pile of Cabbage Patch dolls, including two really good ones. So I worked a deal with Sarah. I sent her all my Cabbage Patch stuff except one that I had listed already, and she's gonna fix up one of the really rare ones for me and send it back to me. And she's already found homes for some of the others, including the other really rare ones. Sarah, did I mention to you guys on the Sunday night show that I was moving to Monday night? I may have. I wanted to tell you guys, but I can't remember if I did or not. Yeah, so I couldn't believe it. I mean, until I started watching the Pittsburgh Picker Show and following Sarah on her Daily Cabbage page on Instagram, I didn't know anything about them. I remember them from the '80s when I was a kid, and people going gaga over them. But every single one of them I ever found, if I was able to look it up, they weren't worth anything. And in fact, most of the ones that I bothered sending her pictures of, I felt like I was just bothering her because they were never worth anything until this one time. Yeah, those outfits she comes up with are pretty awesome. You do really good with the swaddled preemies. How I know, I just sometimes I know that you're going to tell me they're not worth anything, but there'll be some little something about it that's different than the other ones that I've seen or I've already talked to you about. So I check with you to make sure I'm not leaving anything good. Get you guys to excuse me for just a second. Uh, my allergies are still bothering me a little bit, but I'm trying not to take any of the medicine today. Uh, Sarah, are they still making them? Because I know I found some that were in the 2000 teens. Oh, they do still make them. Where I grew up in the early 80s, when Cabbage Patch first um, got its big push, became popular and household name, we lived probably 45 minutes to an hour from the next to the closest small city that had a place where you could buy these things. So a woman set up a garden shed in her yard out by the main highway, so to speak, of our area. And she sold Cabbage Patch out of her little garden shed. Get tickets to a lottery to I've never been one to do that kind of thing. Yeah, those craze for the new hottest thing, or be it a toy or a video game or sports cards or collector cards, any collectible. If you have to get on a to get it, I've never really been that interested. New collectibles to me are just 9 times out of 10, most of that stuff will end up, it'll be like the Beanie Babies. They just tank. Most items that are made to be collectible end up not being very collectible. I mean, even now, most of the Cabbage Patch Kids, as far as I can tell, are going to be the older ones. Yeah, I remember when the Beanie Baby craze hit. I was still living in Texas, and I had a coin shop, and I would go into the city to do business and restock. They had a really big coin store there. This coin store got in on the Beanie Baby craze and started selling Beanie Babies. And I saw women in there on their telephones talking to people and brokering deals for $600 beanbag animals. You lost your freaking minds. There's no intrinsic value at all. And yeah, it was crazy. And even to this day, people still believe Beanie Babies are worth a lot of money, and they're just not. I was in the Habitat for Humanity Restore thrift store the other day, and they had in their glass case up front, they had a black diamond copy of one of the Disney movies. I don't even remember which one. I think it was Bambi. And I had a little card beside it, handwritten on it, very rare black diamond VHS, and they wanted $143 for it. I almost started to poke a little fun at them, but I was like, yeah, I'm ready to leave. Now I do still sell the diamond VHS tapes. I probably sell one or two of them a month. I only make $5 a pop on, but I get them for 10 cents a piece. So and I'm really and truly, I've got a stack of them over here, two stacks of them. One, I'm trying to put a complete collection of them together so I can list a complete collection. And then I've got the secondary where, as I'm upgrading the main collection and I'm buying them, I put them in the secondary collection. And I also check my inventory to see if I have one listed. And if not, I'll list it. Cool. My weekend sales were great. Today hasn't been too bad. Let's see where $250 worth of sales today, which is a little bit better than yesterday. But Friday, Saturday and Sunday, no, Friday and Saturday were really good days. So between the 2 days, it's 20, 580, $1,200 over the weekend. So not too bad. And that's just on eBay. I made a couple of sales on Poshmark too. Which Poshmark has been a little weird. Whoa, oh, I thought I messed up. Anyway, Poshmark, and I've had days where I'll make 4, 5, 6 sales, and then I go 2 days without a sale. I'll have 1 or 2 sales every other day. Then again, no sales for 4 or 5 days. I don't know. It's what I do enjoy selling on Poshmark. The shipping is so easy, um, and it helps me also. Instead of just grabbing everything that might sell, now I'm just grabbing things that have a pretty good chance to sell for a little better money. So and I price up on there so I have room to send offers. Yeah, if Poshmark would do just a little bit of advertising and push their platform, buy some YouTube commercials or something. I believe Poshmark would really pick up and do a lot better than it is. It's not bad now, but it could be really good if they would just do a little advertising and get a little traffic on the site. I have yet to look at one of the Poshmark live sales. I think I briefly clicked on one, and whoever was holding it, it was a silent live show or something. I don't know. I was like, yeah, I ain't got time for this, and I just haven't taken the time to go back and join one of those shows and watch it to see how it does. I really and truly, I'm not interested in doing live shows. Live shows to me, you're trying to sell something right then and there to a small audience and get as much. And unless you get really lucky or you work really, really, really hard to get the word out to the types of people who will spend more money on your items, you're going to have a hard time getting the kind of money your item deserves to be paid. If you put it on eBay as a buy it now, you can leave it there until the right buyer comes along. You're not forced to sell it to whoever made the highest offer in the moment, if that makes sense to you guys. Yeah. It took me forever to move. Well, last December I had a problem with eBay. They started this new payment program, payment on demand. And over the last couple of years, I've realized that anytime they come up with a new program, I should go ahead and sign up for it. So I signed up for that. And a couple of weeks go by, everything's going hunky dory. And they froze my account twice for no reason. And then some other sellers were running into problems with eBay suspending their accounts because they listed something that was on cannot sell list. It was yeah, it was some little toy that is outlawed in the UK, and they had it listed, and because they had international sales turned on, and it being off limits item in the UK, they got their account suspended for 3 days. And it turned out the item that was on the suspended list was not the item they had. And eBay even admitted they were wrong and still refused to lift the 3 day suspension on their account because they'd already won one argument with eBay 6 months earlier. So I realized that with my account and then shutting accounts down, there was the whole thing with the shoe seller guy who's 2 million worth of shoes, and they shut his account down. I'm sure you guys all know what I'm talking about. But eBay was hurting a lot of their sellers. I figured, I've been strictly eBay for over 20 years. There's a lot of other selling platforms out there, and if eBay's going to start um, cracking down on regular sellers and small sellers and doing these kind of things. I need to have my eggs in multiple baskets these days. Can't afford to leave them all in the eBay basket. If it shut you down for no reason or out of the blue or unexpectedly do something to you, what do you do? 'Cause you can't fight them. You really can't. Every once in a while they'll kill. More often than not, you just have to take whatever they do to you and move on. So that's why I'm here at Poshmark. I'll be looking at cars soon. I still have a lot of work to do here in the shop to set up full time reselling. And I still plan to retire in October from watchmaking for the public. I'll still do some work, but I'm going to move my shop here to the house. Just going on the jobs that I want to work on and my own stuff. Yeah, they probably are a waste of time, but they're good secondary backup platforms to be on. And once you get accounts on the ones that I'll end up like you want to use, probably sign up for List Perfectly. I know that's paid for, and they've got another one they're called Flip that's free. But I've pretty much made up my mind that when I do use a cross listing platform, it'll be List Perfectly. It's just I like the ability to contact somebody at List Perfectly to help me if I run into a problem. Yeah, kid. Again, they had that guy that was selling shoes and just out of the blue shut him down. He got a little bit of a warning and he tried working with them and showing them things and talking to them. And then one morning he wakes up and his account's just gone. And he has a lifetime ban on eBay. He can no longer sell on eBay. I have a sneaky suspicion that he probably still is. Maybe not directly, but this guy's still making pro eBay videos. He's still teaching people how to make money on eBay. So I don't know. It's not my monkey, not my circus. Ain't none of my business. Uh, yeah, Tina, that's who it is. Yeah, I saw those videos and all of that kind of stuff going on. Between him and some people getting their accounts restricted or 3-day shutdowns and then freezing my money and not letting me have access to my money for no reason. You guys saw I went live. I streamed the conversation, two of the conversations with them live here on YouTube. And I had them on speakerphone so you guys could hear everything they were saying to me. I never did get an explanation other than the randomly picked. I'm like, you didn't randomly pick me twice in 2 weeks. Yeah, there was more to it than just one pair of sample shoes. I've sold Nike sample shoes before. They exist. There's lots of them out there. His were just a one-off sample that never went into production. But even pre-production sample shoes, they're not that rare. That was anyway. They made him sign non-disclosure forms or made him enter into non-disclosure agreements. And yeah, there's more to the story that we will never know. And again, I'm really not interested. It's none of my business. I do not have a multi-million-dollar reselling business. I will probably never have a multi-million-dollar reselling business. If I ever reach the kind of money income that's doing, it won't be on eBay. That kind of business at that level, I do face to face, or I don't do it. Not that I've ever brokered $1 million deal, but yeah, if I ever come across an extremely rare watch that's hundreds of thousands of dollars or more, and that would not happen on eBay. Never worked for eBay. I don't know. I don't know the man. I saw his videos and I would occasionally try to watch them, but his style, his video format, it never sparked an interest in me, so I never followed him. I don't know the man from Adam. The vast majority of people that I hear speak about him, they all have good things to say about him. I have no experience with him. I can't say anything bad about the man. I brought him up because what happened to him happened at the same time that a lot of other stuff was going on with people that I know to be good people and what was going on with me. And that's why I decided to start branching out to other selling platforms. eBay for the moment is still king. I will still list and sell on eBay, but they're no longer going to be the one and only platform. I cannot risk that, especially this close to my retirement. Yeah, Tina, anytime anybody contacts you about they're having problems, tell them to take it up with eBay. Tell them you listed it, and if they're not able to do anything, that's something they have to take up with eBay. There's nothing we as sellers can do to allow them to buy stuff. And it may be in your seller preferences that people who have two unpaid items can't bid or buy from you or whatever it is. In fact, if you do have your preferences set up that way, they shouldn't be allowed to even see your list. Yeah, I don't play those games. I've like everybody else on at reselling on eBay, you get these scammers all the time. People trying to get you to do this or do it that way. Do you take Bitcoin? Will you? It's like no, 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 no. We're going to do everything by the book up front. If not, go find somebody else to buy from because it's really not worth the risk of having your account shut down. Yeah. Yeah, some of the information I have, I think, originated from him through other people. I know he has over on Facebook. He's got a group, and they mentor people. Him and a few other guys together. They mentor people on their process for selling online, like their inventory process. Use this shelf. Use this box. Use these labels and these bags for storage. I've heard about some of that stuff. Kent, I will keep you in mind for that. Um, I do know that their concierge service no longer exists. Uh, I talked to several people who had the concierge service phone number, and I tried it, and it took me straight to regular customer service and got no help. And when I reported back to the people who gave me that number, they called in, and the same thing happened to them. They were no longer on the concierge service, which I think is bullshit. Uh, Customer service should be a lot easier to reach, and the customer service people that you get in contact with eventually should more should be more able to help you. Oh, Kent, I will definitely keep that in mind. I know the woman at the Rolex Authentication Service Center in Ohio. When they first started coming out with this stuff, it was supposed to be third party. It's not third party. They work directly for eBay and they have access to your account. So I'm kind of upset about it the way that all went about. But traditionally, anytime I've had problems with an item and it gets returned for whatever reason, every single time that's happened on a high dollar item, I've actually relisted it and sold it for more money later. So I'm kind of hoping that this item follows suit and I sell it for more money. Yeah. Yeah. I've only ever sent one pair of shoes that had to go to authentication. And believe it or not, it was a pair of Hoka's. It was Hoka hiking boots. Went through flying colors. I've used the Rolex watch authenticators multiple times. Never once had a problem. Even watches that had aftermarket parts on them, such as dials, and crystals, and bezels. I disclosed it in the description. No problem. Went right through. But yeah, here recently, something must have changed because this watch should have went through no problem, same as all the others. Um, so I don't know. I do know that from now on, I'll be a little more um, careful how I list Rolex watches. So tell me how to sell shoes. Yeah, I kind of wish Tommy would bring his live show back. I'm not the only one that says that. I, I didn't stumble onto the reseller YouTube community until after he had stopped doing his show, or by the time I found out who he was no longer doing his shows. Uh, uh, he did give me a little help. Tommy did on the shipping of shoes, and that's with the you just put them in a poly mailer and sell them and ship them in a poly mailer, and use pirate ship for the cubic priority rate. Tracy's always cool. Every time she's in the chat, it's going to be a good time. That was you. Well, awesome. I thank you for that information. I still use it occasionally, uh, but I'm moving most of my shoe sales over to Poshmark. I get paid a little more for them, and they sell better, and the shipping is so much easier. I don't have to worry about cubic or anything. I just order the free shoe boxes from USPS, dump them in there, send them on their way. But the rare occasion that I do list a pair of shoes on eBay and they sell, as long as they're not, if they're under 40 or under $50 and they're not leather dress shoes, I'm shipping them in the poly mailers, and they're generally about 11.85 or so to ship. All right, brother. I'm glad you stopped by. We'll catch you next week. We'll be right back here on Mondays. Is this 6 o'clock in the evening Pacific Standard Time good for everybody else? Do I need to start earlier and later? You guys tell me, because I do this stuff to hang out with you guys, and whatever the best time for you guys is probably going to be the best time for me. I still do the returns with some of the sales that I sell. You know, I could sell a $10,000 or $15,000 watch, and if I don't do the free returns, I don't get that 10% discount on my final value fees. So for me, the free returns are worth it. Oh, on Posh, yeah, I had one person try to do a return because the sizing wasn't right. But I put pictures of the sizing tag, and I put actual physical measurements on a pair of jeans. And Poshmark sided with me fairly quickly. Now, I do have to say, I started a Poshmark return today. I ordered a pair of shoes for myself. They were listed as new without tags or box, and a size, the width on them was supposed to be a 4E. But they get here, and they're a D in width, and they are not new. So I bought myself a pair of uh, New Balance. New Balance is one of the few shoes out there that sells them in my size in the extra wide. But anyway, there was no picture of the sizing tag on the listing, but it's pretty clearly marked E. And they were listed as new without tags. You guys tell me, does that look new? I mean, you can see the impression of the people's toes and all the dirt and filth. These shoes are not new, and they're not the right size. So I started returning. And hopefully I get my money back, because it's hard to find shoes to fit me, and I don't mind paying up when I do. see, you work so hard to be a good seller, and you end up having to eat returns sometimes, even when you're not in the wrong. And I tell people all the time, you're going to get returns, period. And your business needs to be strong enough to withstand getting a return. But then as a buyer, you go through a seller and you get stung like this. There's a lot of bad sellers on there. And that's another problem with Poshmark is the amount of scammers on there. I'll share my screen and I'll show you guys exactly what I'm talking about here. Let me see. Where's my percent? Let's see. Share screen. Share screen. Share screen. Let's see. There's my live show. There's my closet. Let's go to my closet. And I will. There it is. So I've got that watch relisted. Oh, I guess. Well, the scammer, I blocked him, and I guess they removed his comment. But let's go up here. Rolex in all markets and search. Search. There you go. Fake watch. Fake watch. Fake watch. Fake watch. Generally, there's 2 or 3 rows of these fake watches. They call them ghost watches or whatever. And I have reported these accounts and these items, same pictures, multiple times. Every time they take them down, within a couple of hours, they get put right back up, and they're scammers. And then on any other watch, that one doesn't have one, but I guarantee you that there are a ton of scam buyers out there. There we go. I don't have that one. Somebody asking for a trade. That one should have a. Well, here I am with an egg on my face trying to tell you guys about something. See, that's an aftermarket dial and bezel on that watch. Well, I can't find it, but you get these people who make comments about I'm very interested in your watch for my husband or my brother or my mother or my sister or whoever. And can you please text or call or send pictures to this, that, the other? Yeah, Franken watches and Homage watch, but they say Rolex on the dial. They say Rolex in the description. And there's so much scam, so such a high level of scammers on Poshmark when it comes to Rolex watches that I'm really scared to list mine on there. I've got one. I want to see how that goes. Yeah, it's illegal. And every time I report them and they disappear within hours, they're right back under new names, new accounts, same pictures. And you go through the sold section and you will definitely see a lot of fake watches supposedly being sold for thousands of dollars, and it ain't worth any money, really. I have people bring me watches all the time. There's not a week goes by that I don't look at least a dozen fake Rolexes. I'll tell the people, hey, it's fake, sorry. And they're like, well, what's it worth? I'm like 10 to 15. And they get a confused look on their face, and I immediately jump back with years in prison if you try to sell it. It's illegal to do so. Uh, the outfit that I work for right now, they're a watch and clock repair store, antique store that primarily does restorations and repairs. And it took me a couple of years to tell them I will not work on a knockoff. And they're like, it's just a watch. I'm like, no, it's a risk. And they finally had one customer brought in a fake Rolex at the same time that they bought in a real vintage Omega. I took the Rolex back out to the customer and said, I won't touch it. I told him why and showed him why. But I will work on your Omega for you. Well, the former clock-making apprentice had bought the business, made arrangements to buy the business. He was running the business. So as soon as I walked away, he said, hey, give me the watch. I got somebody that can work on it for you. Next thing we know, this guy's accusing us of stealing his real Rolex watch. He's got some expert. But yeah, it's dealing with knockoff anything, any point for any reason is dangerous. Don't do it. Yeah, Kent, that's another thing. You get these people. I sold a Vacheron Constantin field watch from World War II that was just damn near mint. And guy I sold it to, he bought it on a auction. He outbid everybody. And he didn't know that you have to give the watch a little shake, especially on an old watch. Wind it up, give it a little shake, you start to watch. I didn't know you had to wind it till he stopped. And the guy kept trying to return it. I'm like, no, I don't take returns. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. And that's another reason I'm retiring is so many people, they have these watches. And Timex and quartz watches really did this to us. They takes a licking and keeps on ticking. No, it's waterproof. No, there's no such thing as waterproof when it comes to the watch world. It is actually illegal in the United States of America to claim that a watch is waterproof. And you get these people who inherit old watches. They find one at a yard sale and they bring it in. And they pay all this money to get it fixed. You give it back to them 6 weeks later, they bring it back full of rust and water or broken parts, and they want you to fix it again for free because it must be your fault that it's broke because you were in it. Yeah, and the it takes a licking and keeps on ticking part of all of that. There is a legal term for it, and it's called puffery. They can legally lie to you in their ads, like Papa John's, where our pizza we use the best ingredients, the freshest ingredients, and make the best pizzas. No, they use the same thing that everybody else uses, but advertising puffery allows them to say things like that. And you see these watches all the time. They'll say 50 ATM or 3 ATM or 600 M on them and water resistant. Well, that doesn't mean it's water resistant to 3 atmospheres or 600 meters. At 600 M or 3 ATM, there is no legal requirement for those letters and numbers to mean a damn thing. At best, they used that amount of pressure in a static test on a brand new unworn watch, 1 in 1,000, and they tested it to that pressure. But it doesn't mean you can go buy one of those watches, strap it on your wrist, and go dive 3 atmospheres deep, and your watch not get water in it. So yeah, it's and people don't understand that back in the day, 50, 75, 100 years ago, if you had a watch, you had something nice, and it came with a responsibility, and that was to take care of it. In our throwaway society, nobody's taught to take care of anything. You buy it and use it till it breaks, and then you throw it away. Well, you get something expensive just because you paid a lot of money for it, you expect it to last a long time, even if you treat it the way you treat the cheap junk you've been buying. And that's just not true. There used to be old sayings like keep your watch and your wallet dry or keep your powder and your watch dry. And it's just those kind of things aren't taught anymore. Correct. Yeah, there's all kind of little tricks that manufacturers use to sell things. Um, but it doesn't mean you can take that item and beat the hell out of it and expect it to last. There are times where I have absolutely refused to work on nice watches because of the condition they were in. Could I have done the work? Absolutely. But the customer who owns the watch, they didn't take care of it before. They're not going to take care of it after I fix it for them. And when they don't, and it breaks again in 6 weeks, 6 months, they come back in raising hell, expecting me to fix it for free. I'm not putting up with that. So I tell them, no, I'm sorry, it's too far gone. Yeah, yeah. There's so it's. I'm sorry, guys. I got off on a rant on why I want to retire from my job. And anyway, person can be very person can be very reliable, very loyal. They can easy to get along with, but people in general, not so much. Your general public out there is well, the IQ standards have fallen quite a bit in the last couple of generations. And quite honestly, I don't want to work for people like that anymore. It's just to have to redo something that I've already done once through no fault of my own. Hmm, I have always stood by any job that I've ever done in any field. But to be forced to pay for somebody else's mistake sticks in my craw a little bit, and I'm ready to retire. I don't want to do it anymore. All right, Sarah, I'm just not seeing that. That's probably one of the messages I got in from Instagram. I see it. Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. I'll keep an eye out for you. Yeah, and quite honestly, ever since the pandemic thing, we during the pandemic we closed the shop to the public. We still came in and worked, but we also cut our hours way back. And since the pandemic, we've never brought our hours back up. So I work 4 days a week down there, but it's from 10 o'clock in the morning till 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and that burns up 4 days. It's the biggest chunk out of the middle of 4 of my work days. And quite honestly, it's hindering me to do that more than it's helping. So if we were still 5 days a week, 9 to 5 every day, I could probably get on board with that. But when I'm only there a couple hours a day, 4 days a week, I get ambushed coming through the door every morning that I go in there. I get interrupted every 5 minutes. Jobs that I can normally get done in 2.5 hours, taking me 2.5 days. I'm getting interrupted every 5 minutes. Look at this. Look at that. Can you do this real quick? I'm like, it just handed me a $20 quartz watch, and I've got a $20,000 Rolex pulled apart that belongs to our customer, and you want me to stop this and work on that? Okay. I could be sit here all night and bitch about why I want to retire. So, but yeah, so let's see. I my target date is October the 1st. I'm out. So this is May, middle of May. So May, June, July, August, September. I got 5 months to get this place completely reset up and ready to rock and roll and have my work plan schedule nailed. Because the day that I retire is not the day that I kick my feet up. The day that I retire is the day that I start working even harder. Because this reselling thing, I'm going to pour gas on the fire that keeps me warm. So, instead of working a couple hours in the morning doing shipping and maybe drafting a few things and listing a few things I drafted the day before, and then going to work and then coming back or going sourcing, instead of breaking my day up into a bunch of inefficient stuff, I'm going to start in the morning and I'm going to work like a regular job plus some. And because right now I burn the candle at both ends. I'm up every night past midnight working. So hopefully in the next 5 months I can get my stuff together and be ready to retire the correct way, or not retire, but shift gears on how I make my money. And that's another thing. Right now, I need time to be able to do family things. My wife wants to go visit her mother in another state. I need to be able to take time off and get her there and help her and her mom while I'm there, do some things. And if I don't have to worry about two jobs, I only have to worry about one job. That's all me, and I don't have to worry about anybody else. But when I'm trying to run two jobs, it's not as easy. I can still make it happen. It's not as easy. I want to, if the wife gets a day off from her job and she wants to go somewhere and do something, and instead of being here in the shop, just taking pictures and cleaning and testing and list, I can just turn the lights off on this place and take off, go spend the day with her. Glenn, I would not. I simply wouldn't. I've had the opportunity to do that before, and in fact, I had my own shop. 99, 2000. I had my own shop, and quite honestly, I would have to stop doing everything else I'm doing, and it would take a ton of money and all at one time. It would probably take me $250,000 to open a shop of my own with no guarantees that it would work. Quite honestly, and I don't. The older I get, the less willing I am to put up with bad customers. And it doesn't take much for me to think they're a bad customer anymore. I'd rather sit here at the house and have a few trusted contacts bring me the type of watches that I want to work on. And quite honestly, I'm getting older. My eyes are not what they used to be. The tiny little ladies' watches, I just don't have what it takes to work on those anymore. I have to use a microscope. And that's really not that easy to do. And I'll show you the one I got. So, for years, I've been trying to get a true jeweler's microscope to work under, and they're just too expensive. And this late in my career, I'm not going to spend that kind of money. So I have one of these. It USB hooks to the computer, and I can watch the screen and do some of the smaller stuff, or at least look at it and see what needs to be done. But yeah, yeah, quite honestly, the area that I live in, um, a few years ago, before the pandemic, I was probably getting two or three Rolexes a week, plus all the small work. And again, we had longer hours, so I had more time in the day to get things done. But this is a retirement community. The big money in this valley is all retirees. And by retirees, I mean they're living in a nursing home. It's a big fancy nursing home, but it's a nursing home. They're all fixed incomes and they don't pay. They don't like to pay. They're used to the prices they paid 30 years ago. Well, 25 years ago, it only cost $300 to service a Rolex, and that's all parts, labor, everything, refinish case and bracelet. It's $295. Today, you can't touch one. Service on Rolex through Rolex, you're not going to touch one for less than $1,200. And everything they touch, they charge extra for. So, I have to charge the same kind of prices or a little less. I actually get paid only a small portion of that, and the business makes the majority. I try to give them keystone prices, but they triple key it. So, Kent, I have, and yeah, a lot of those guys, I can't speak for all of them because I quit watching them, and they're teaching very bad habits. The kind of things that they teach on most of those channels that I've actually seen. If I had a watchmaker working for me who worked on watches that way, I'd fire them. They are not doing quality work practices. They do pretty bad things. Uh, the few that I do watch that do good things, they're not actually teaching watch repair, and they're just showing what they do. Stephen Fallow out of Germany, he makes his own cases, and he makes uh, tourbillons and chronometers, and he makes them from scratch. So I watch him. But as far as the watch repair channels that are trying to teach watch repair, I'm sure they get huge views too. But YouTube University is not the place to learn how to work on a wristwatch. And quite honestly, I'm not a good teacher either. All the years I've been doing this, 35 years now, I've only ever had one apprentice actually go on to become an actual watchmaker. He's a pretty good one. In fact, he does the kind of stuff nowadays that I ever liked doing and certainly wouldn't do today. He repivots watches, even the small stuff. He works on the kind of stuff that I tried to teach him not to work on, like the really old fusees, birch fusees and stuff. They're, he didn't believe me. He'll learn the hard way like I did. But he really turned out to be a good watch repairman. Most of them, uh, most of my apprentices lasted less than 6 weeks. A lot of them didn't make it 2 weeks. So yeah, eh, watch repair is one of those things that it's hard to teach somebody watch repair. And a lot of people think watches are these super complicated machines and miniature, and they're really not. Most of them are really simple, but it takes a certain kind of attention to detail and precision in your movements and patience in what you're doing that is sorely lacking in most people. It's it's a very difficult thing to do. There's no tricks to it. You have to do things right, or it is not going to work. Well, folks, I have complained about my job for the last half hour, and we haven't really we've strayed pretty far away from reselling. Oh, hey, Kristen, how are you? I was supposed to make a reel and tell everybody I'd moved to Monday nights, and time got away from me. But anyway, speaking of time, Kristen, you came in just as I was about to shut her down for the night. I have been complaining about my job that I'm planning on retiring for the last half hour, and I kind of run out of um, reselling topic to talk about tonight. So, dang, I did watch your latest. Yes, I am moving to Monday nights. Um, hey, Brett. I'm sorry. Yeah, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's PST or whatever that translates. Now, everybody that's still here didn't leave because I was bitching about my old job that I'm about to retire from. If 6 p.m. PST, Pacific Standard Time, is not a good time for you guys, let me know what is a good time. Either drop it in the comments after the video is over or hit me up on Instagram and let me know when a great time is for you. And if I get enough people for a certain time slot that's different than what I'm already doing, I'll change the time slot. But Mondays, it's going to be for now. Yes. When I retire, working full time will be a lot easier. Right now, I'm doing good to get 10 or 15 items a day listed, and that's on a good day. A lot of days I only get five, and maybe one or two on plus one. Uh, uh, I intend to have at least 20 a day done after I retire. Well, I'm terrible about doing those Instagram reels anymore. I tried doing them daily for a while, and I just got away from it. I have a I have a daily process that I go through. I get up in the morning, grab coffee, and I get online, and I start seeing what I got to do for the rest of the day, and things like announcing new times for YouTube Live kind of get lost in the mix there. But that's another thing that if I retire from this other job, I can schedule things like this better, work this in a little easier. I'm trying to burn the candle at both ends, and the two flames are getting closer and closer together. So I got to snuff one of them out and pour gas on the one that keeps me warm. Kristen, I just finished watching your What Sold video. I'll if you're uploading one now, I'll keep an eye out for it. But uh, I think I'm going to call it a night tonight, and I will see you guys all back here next Monday, 6 o'clock p.m. PST, Pacific Standard Time. And between now and then, if you've got a better time slot that meets your needs better, let me know, and maybe I'll change it if I get enough people to do it. But 6 p.m. is a pretty good time slot for me. But I'll work with you guys for whatever you need. If you need anything, if you need any advice on a watch that you're trying to buy or you've already bought or need information for, almost always available on Instagram. Don't be afraid to hit me up. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for being here. Good night.